The morning my father told me I was not welcome in France, he was already using my money to pay for it. My name is Victoria Whitman. I am 32 years old. I work in fraud prevention for a payment processing company in Denver, which means I spend most of my days noticing problems other people miss. Strange charges and small lies hidden inside ordinary transactions. I was good at that work. I was less skilled at seeing the same patterns inside my own family. My mother stood at the counter pouring coffee into the same chipped mug she always used. My brother was half awake and scrolling through his phone. My sister was talking about luggage sizes as if she had somewhere important to be. My father sat at the head of the table with the pleased expression he wore when he wanted attention before he spoke. "We've booked a trip to France," he said, setting his cup down. "Just the 5 of us. You understand?" "Right." He smiled with the confidence of a man who assumed I never checked my accounts. The room went still in that practiced way families can go still without appearing silent. I looked around at the table and counted. My parents, my brother, my sister, my brother's fiancée, Brooke, who had stayed over the night before. 5. Then me. I wish I could say I was shocked, but exclusion in my family usually arrived politely. It came wrapped in practical reasons, changed plans, misunderstandings, timing. This was only the clearest version of it. "Why am I excluded?" I asked. My father did not even look uncomfortable. He lifted his toast, took a bite, and said, "You've been difficult lately." What he meant was I had refused to co-sign one of his loans 3 months earlier after learning he had missed payments on 2 credit cards. I had said no calmly, which seemed to offend him more than anger would have. My mother kept stirring her coffee. My brother looked at the table. My sister adjusted her nails against the mug in front of her. No one defended me. No one even pretended to. I could have argued. I could have listed every time I had helped this family when money got tight or emergencies appeared out of nowhere. Instead, I gave him the one thing he did not expect. "Yeah, okay." He smiled like he had won. I went to work, answered emails, reviewed claims, and came home later than usual. I ate dinner alone in my room because I did not trust myself to sound calm downstairs. At 11:47 that night, my phone lit up beside the bed. Fraud alert, $72,000 in pending travel charges. The details followed underneath 5 business class seats, a rented villa in Provence, prepaid private drivers, and luxury deposits across 3 cities. For a moment, I only stared at my own last name on the screen. I didn't scream, but my hands shook hard enough that I had to set the phone down once before calling the bank. For a few seconds, I sat on the edge of the bed with the phone in my hand, watching the pending amount glow against the dark screen. $72,000 was too large to be careless and too specific to be a mistake. Paris. Nice. Provence. Someone had built an entire trip on the assumption that my money would stay quiet. Then training took over. I opened my banking app, froze the card, and requested a replacement. After that, I called the 24-hour fraud line and gave the representative the facts in the calm voice I used at work. A family member used stored card information without permission for travel charges, I said. There was a short pause before the woman replied. Professional and measured. Would you like to dispute the pending transactions? Yes, I said, immediately. She opened the case, confirmed the card freeze, and told me the pending charges would be investigated. I thanked her, ended the call, and felt something settle inside me. Not relief exactly, more like steadiness. Next, I logged into every shared account connected to my name. Travel rewards? Rental car memberships? The family streaming plan my father insisted everyone needed but never paid for. I changed passwords, removed authorized users, and turned on 2-step verification. The work was simple. The meaning wasn't. As I moved from account to account, old memories kept surfacing. My father needing my card for a plumbing repair he swore he'd repay next Friday. My mother asking me to cover a medical deposit because insurance was delayed. My brother needing help with truck repairs to keep his job. My sister short on rent for 1 month that became 3. Each time, there had been urgency, and each time I had helped. Each time, repayment became a vague future everyone expected me to forget. I opened my laptop and emailed the travel agency listed in the alert. I stated clearly that I hadn't authorized any charges and requested written confirmation of all bookings attached to my card. When I finally looked at the clock, it was after midnight. I realized I wasn't dealing with one bad decision. I was looking at years of access dressed up as family trust. I slept less than 2 hours, but by morning I felt strangely clear. When I walked into the kitchen, everyone was already there. My mother had set out toast and fruit as if routine could protect the room from what was coming. My brother, Ryan, was wearing the expensive watch he bought on credit last year. My sister, Madison, was talking about what shoes made sense for Paris sidewalks. Brooke sat quietly beside Ryan, polite enough to notice tension and smart enough not to interrupt it. My father was the first one to break. He stared at his phone, frowned, then hit the screen twice like force might improve the news. "This is ridiculous," he said. The hotel upgrade was canceled. No one answered. A second notification came through, then another. "The Provence Villa hold failed," he muttered. "Why would they run the card again?" I poured myself coffee and sat down. Ryan looked up. "Dad, you said everything was paid." "It was handled," my father snapped. "Banks create problems all the time." Then he looked directly at me. He had moved from blaming strangers to identifying the person he thought would fix it. "Call them," he said. "Tell them to clear the fraud hold." I stirred my coffee once before answering. "I won't." The room tightened. My mother lowered her mug. "Victoria, don't start this in the morning." "I didn't start anything," I said. "Someone used my card without permission." Madison let out a sharp laugh meant to embarrass me. "Seriously, you're doing this now. We leave tomorrow." I turned to her. "No, you were leaving tomorrow." Ryan pushed back his chair. "You're canceling first-class seats over a misunderstanding." "It isn't a misunderstanding," I said. "It's $72,000 charged to my account." Brooke's eyes moved from face to face. "Wait, your card paid for all of this." No one answered quickly enough. My father straightened in his chair and used the voice that had controlled this family for years. "You've helped before. This is family." "When I agreed," I said. "Not when you decided for me." He slammed his hand on the table hard enough to rattle the plates. "You will call the bank right now." I met his stare and felt something old loosen inside me. "No." Silence landed harder than the shouting. Ryan looked angry. Madison offended. My mother tired. Brooke looked like she was seeing the house clearly for the first time. No one asked if I was hurt. I made it to my car before I cried, and even then it only lasted a minute because anger arrived faster. They only asked why I had stopped being useful. My father hated silence because it gave other people time to think. After I told him no, he stood from the table and paced near the counter with his phone still in his hand. The anger in him was real, but underneath it I could see something less familiar. Panic. "You've embarrassed this family over a temporary charge," he said. "A temporary charge of $72,000. I replied. "That's a large way to make a point," Ryan muttered. "Can we stop fighting and just fix it?" "There is no fixing it," I said. "Not until people start telling the truth." My father turned sharply. "What truth? The truth about why my card was needed at all." He laughed once, but there was no confidence in it, because I preferred to use it. "That's all." Madison rolled her eyes. "Dad, come on." My mother set her mug down and spoke without looking at anyone. The refinance was denied. Then she looked at me and said quietly, "I knew he used your card. I thought he would fix it before you noticed." The room changed. My father stared at her. "Elaine, you said you'd tell them?" She answered quietly. Ryan frowned. What refinance I already knew enough to understand. 3 months earlier, my father had asked me to co-sign what he called a consolidation loan. When I asked for statements, he became offended and said family shouldn't need paperwork. How bad is it, I asked. He crossed his arms. It's private. Then stop using my money to solve it. My mother spoke again, still soft. The cards are near their limits. Minimum payments went up. He thought this trip would help morale. Brooke actually laughed, then covered her mouth. A luxury France trip helps morale, she said. My father ignored her. I built this family. I provide for this family. I looked around the kitchen. My brother's truck repair I had paid for. My sister's move I had covered. My mother's specialist deposit I had fronted. The vacation charged to my card. No, I said calmly. You manage appearances for this family? He hadn't excluded me because I was difficult. He excluded me because I had stopped being available. I went upstairs, brought down my laptop, and returned to the kitchen before anyone had fully recovered from what my mother admitted. My father saw the computer and immediately bristled. We're not doing some performance, he said. No, I answered, opening the screen. We're doing memory with documentation. I logged into the folder I had organized the night before. Dates, transfers, invoices, screenshots, just records. Ryan leaned over first, still believing this could be explained away. I clicked the first file, truck repair, $11,400. Paid directly to the shop 18 months ago. Ryan's face changed. Dad told me he handled that. He told me he'd repay it in 2 months. I moved to the next file. Madison's moving costs, security deposit, movers, utility setup, $8,200. My sister stared at the screen. Mom said they were helping me. I was helping you. I said, another file. Roof repair after the hailstorm. $14,000. My mother covered her mouth. Then another. Specialist deposit and medication plan when insurance was delayed. $6,300. My father slammed his palm against the table. This is disgusting. You keep score against your own family. I looked at him. No. I kept records because everyone else kept forgetting. The room went quiet in a different way now, not the practiced silence from breakfast. This one had weight. Brooke sat back quietly, watching everything. Ryan rubbed his forehead. So when Dad said he paid for things, he paid with other people's money and certainty. My father stepped toward me. Enough. I clicked open a spreadsheet of smaller transfers. Plane tickets for funerals. Hundreds here. 1,000 there. Over years. The total sat at the bottom. $186,000. No one spoke for several seconds. My mother began to cry softly. I would have felt guilty once. Instead, I felt tired. Victoria, she said, please let this go. Keep peace. I closed the laptop halfway and looked at her. Peace built on one person paying isn't peace. I said, it's dependence with nicer language. Madison wiped at her eyes, angry at herself for doing it. Ryan wouldn't meet mine. His fury no longer filled the room. For the first time, everyone could see that the family story he told and the one we lived inside were not the same thing. It arrived in emails, missed calls, and voices raised behind closed doors. By that afternoon, the travel agency had sent formal notice that the France package would be canceled without verified payment by end of business. The first-class seats were released. The villa deposit in Provence was non-refundable. The private transfers in Nice were gone. By the next morning, most of the itinerary had dissolved into fees and apologies no one wanted to hear. My father spent those 48 hours pacing through the house with his phone pressed to his ear. I just need a short bridge loan, he told his older brother, then listened long enough for his face to redden. Fine. The second call went worse. I only heard his side. No, it isn't your concern how I structured it, because that's not the point. Forget it. Later, Ryan told me our uncle had asked the simplest question in the world. If you couldn't afford the trip, why did you book it? Some questions land harder than insults. Ryan cornered my father in the living room that night. "You lied to all of us," he said. "You said everything was paid." "I was handling it." My father snapped. "With her card." Ryan shot back. Madison joined in from the hallway. "And now, everyone knows." Do you understand how humiliating this is? I almost laughed at the choice of injury, but I let her keep it. Brooke, who had stayed quieter than anyone, finally spoke. "No," she said calmly. "The humiliating part is stealing from your daughter and calling it family." She picked up her purse and said, "Ryan, if this is normal here, we need to talk." No one answered her. My father tried anyway. "You don't understand how families work." She held his gaze. "Then maybe I should be grateful." That was the first moment I saw him lose control completely. He couldn't shout her into silence the way he had with us. He couldn't control her the way he controlled us. By the second evening, the trip was officially canceled. I expected to feel triumphant. Instead, I felt tired. My father blamed me. My siblings blamed him. And the house, for once, sounded honest. The weeks after the canceled trip were quieter, not calmer. My father sold his black luxury SUV first. He avoided looking at the neighbors while the buyer drove it away. He said he wanted something more practical, but everyone knew he needed the cash. He handed over the keys without looking up. I watched from the kitchen window and felt nothing dramatic, only the strange emptiness that comes when something predictable finally changes. Then other debts began surfacing. There were overdue credit cards, a personal loan I had never heard about, and 2 missed home equity payments my mother discovered while sorting mail he had been hiding in the garage cabinet. For years, she had called him controlling. She only recently learned he had also been disorganized. She took over the budgeting within a week. Bills were spread across the dining room table every Tuesday night, and for the first time in my memory, my father had to explain numbers instead of avoiding them. He hated that more than losing the trip. "This house has no respect left," he said one evening when Ryan questioned another late fee. Ryan answered without raising his voice. "Respect isn't the same as silence." That line stayed with me. Their social circle changed too. Neighbors who once praised my father for being generous stopped inviting him to planning dinners and golf weekends. He still blamed me whenever he could. "You ruined France." But each time he said it, the room listened less. Repeated anger becomes background noise. I wasn't happy watching him fall. I just wasn't willing to hold him up anymore. I signed the lease on a small 1-bedroom apartment near the South Platte River on a gray Thursday afternoon. The building was older, the kitchen was narrow, and the bedroom window faced another brick wall. None of that bothered me. The mailbox downstairs would hold only my name. The rent would be paid by me, for me. The lock would answer to one key. At first, peace looked ordinary. Over the next week, I moved in stages. 2 suitcases, kitchen boxes, work clothes, documents. Then the things that mattered less but still belonged to me. I updated my mailing address, removed myself from every shared subscription, closed remaining family access points, and changed recovery emails tied to old accounts. It felt more personal than packing. My mother texted once, "This feels extreme." I didn't answer. Some people call boundaries extreme when access ends. Madison came by on Sunday carrying coffee and awkwardness. She stood in the doorway until I invited her in. "This place is small," she said. "It is?" Then she looked around again and corrected herself. "It feels calm." We sat at the tiny table I had assembled badly the night before. One leg still leaned slightly to the left. She twisted the paper sleeve on her cup and finally said, "I knew about the trip before breakfast. I didn't know about the card, but I knew you were being left out, and I said nothing." I appreciated that she chose facts over excuses. Why I asked? She stared at the table, because going sounded easier than speaking. That answer was honest enough to hurt. She apologized quietly. I believed she meant it, which isn't the same as everything being repaired. "I forgive you for being silent," I said. I don't trust silence anymore. After she left, I stood in the middle of the apartment listening to nothing. No tension downstairs, no doors shutting hard, no one needing something disguised as family. That night, I unpacked plates alone and realized freedom can be quiet enough to sound like loneliness at first. 3 months after I moved out, an envelope arrived with my father's handwriting on it. I recognized it immediately from his heavy handwriting. Inside was a check for $500 and a folded note with 2 words, "First payment." The amount was small enough to insult me and honest enough to matter. No apology, no explanation, no mention of France, the card, or the years before it. Just a number and a gesture that arrived late. I sat at my kitchen counter for a long time, turning the check over in my hands. Part of me wanted to tear it in half. Another part wanted more than money from him, which was the more dangerous feeling. In the end, I deposited it through my banking app. Not because $500 repaired anything. It didn't even cover one of the smaller transfers I had made over the years. I deposited it because accountability doesn't always arrive the way you hoped. If that was the only form he could manage, I wasn't going to reject the principle. He never asked whether I received it. A week later, my birthday came. My mother mailed a card with flowers on the front and a short handwritten message inside. "I miss you. I handled things poorly. I hope you're well." There was no request attached, no guilt tucked between the lines, no mention of family dinners or how hard this had been for everyone else. It was the first note from her in years that sounded like a person instead of a strategy. I placed it on the shelf above my desk. That evening, I bought myself takeout, ate by the window, and let the apartment stay quiet around me. No reconciliation had happened, no healing speech had been given. But something had shifted. Money had finally started moving in the right direction. The following spring, I went to France alone. I used reward points I had earned through my own work account and booked a modest flight, a clean hotel, and nothing I couldn't comfortably afford. No upgrades and no pretending. By then, I had grown suspicious of anything that needed to look expensive in order to feel valuable. On my second morning in Paris, I sat at a small cafe near the corner of a narrow street and ordered coffee and warm bread. My phone lit up with a banking alert confirming the purchase. I smiled the moment I saw it. For once, the charge was mine because the choice was mine. No hidden users, no borrowed access, no family story wrapped around someone else's bill. I thought about my father still sending checks, and my mother writing more honest notes. My family still wasn't fixed, but for the first time, neither was I trying to fix it. I used to think being needed meant being loved. I don't anymore. I finished my coffee slowly and watched the street wake up around me. Tell me honestly in the comments, would you have forgiven them sooner, or walked even farther away?